You know, we always want to start with their goals. Can we talk about what your goals are? Can we talk about what you're finding most important for the rest of your life? And let's look at it in a couple of different ways for your business or your employment as the situation may allow, but also for the individual. Equally important, there is your identity there, but there's also your role. So we want to accomplish, or shall we say, accommodate both needs. So let's go down a list of possible goal considerations. Can we do that? Let's start with the very basics here. Everyone exits. I will say to people, usually by choice or circumstances. And let me refine that even further. Okay. I think at the end of the day, everyone has options. At least that's what I tell my children. The bad news is you have to make choices. Guess what? 100% of the time, undefeated, untied, rank number one, everybody leaves their business. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that it happened, but it's the reality. So let's talk about that and what the options are. Because at the end of the day, you're going to leave your business. The question is, are you choosing to leave the business, or the choice is being made by somebody else or something else or circumstances beyond your control? And everybody I have found wants to have as much control as they can over their life. So let's talk about how we can find that control and find the choices that we want to effectively make so we can find a way to our best possible outcomes. How does that sound? Let's start with the very, very beginning, right? We're going to go very, very basic here. There are three universal goals when it comes to exiting your business. Okay? When, who, and how. Keep it really simple. When do you want to leave? I really believe right now that everybody's going to live to be 100. I've talked to business groups about this. The way that medicine is today, the way of, at the end of the day, the health, the nutrition, the dieting, the exercise, the environment, everything out there leads me to conclude we're going to clearly outlive it, subject to some cataclysmic event, our parents and our the prior generations. So guess what? You might be able to work longer than you ever thought possible, right? Okay, at the end of the day, that means as well that you're going to be living longer than you ever thought possible. So we want to kind of balance out how long do we want to work in light of how long we're going to live. Where is that delta? Where is that perfect point where you say it's time to go, and how do we lead up to it? Having said that, okay, it's really nice to say I'm gone, but you want to be able to set up circumstances such that someone or something is going to come in and be your successor, take over the role. If, like most business owners, they have a real desire to either monetize their business, that is liquidated, or they have a real desire to have somebody carry on the legacy of what they've done, and maybe it's both, and that's okay, then let's figure out at the end of the day who or what is going to come in to take over those positions for you within the company. And then there's always the ultimate question, but this is always an interesting one. How much? You know, I've seen this very different with different people. Okay, some of it is every dollar, and some of them not so much. Some of it is a function of making sure that they feel that they get adequate value. Some of it is the highest possible value. But with some people, it's just enough. It's different for everyone, depending on what your lifetime goals are, which we're going to get more into. And how do we look at lifetime goals? Well, let's use the old moniker of SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. Bound. You guys know what that is. That's not lost on anybody. But it is also difficult to execute upon, mainly because it takes a lot of time and brain power to sit down and walk through those various options. At the end of the day, what I find is most significant is if it's not measurable, then it's not going to happen. If you can't quantify it, then it's not attainable typically, and therefore it's not relevant. I would focus on being able to specifically measure out in specific detail what it is that you think you need as far as a goal to get you to the goal line. If you can't measure it, it will not happen. But at the same time, let's back up a half a step once you look at the goals. And is that consistent with who you are as an individual from a couple of different vantage points? Certainly, financial independence and security is a big piece of it. But there may also be, again, the legacy or the desire to share with people at a very high level, that is fundamental to how you think your business ought to be looked at and viewed, from which you then can grow all the possibilities of the options that you have for exiting your business. Because at the end of the day, there are, in most instances I've seen, universal goals. There are financial goals, there's a departure date, and a successor. We wrapped up everything that I've talked about to this point. If you can come to those finite answers, then certainly you're well on your way to having the kind of goals you want that allow you to move out of your business, engage, frankly, in exit planning, as we call it. But there are also some other things that we want to look at and pay particular attention to. And it goes on with every situation I've ever seen. Family is an issue. How do you include them? Or do you include them in the decision or the discussion? Or the money? Or are they going to be a successor? How much is legacy an element of your consideration? Is there something you wish to leave behind with the company or the business that you were involved with? A lot of people, I find, and this is becoming, I think, as I get older, more and more important, that you want employee acknowledgement. You'd like someone to say thank you. As one of my friends once said a long time ago, that if you're going to wait around for somebody to say thank you, you're going to wait a long time. But I am also surprised at how often that is a very valued and cherished piece of any exit, to get that kind of acknowledgement, for lack of a better term, from your employees. At the same time, most people, and this is something that I call the difference between the gap and the game, borrowing heavily from Dan Sullivan, the strategic coach. You may have a desire or see a goal that you want to achieve, but you're not there and you're not sure how to get there. And so it's what is known as the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So how are we going to deal with that issue? At the same time, there is always this need to maximize profit and minimize taxes while maintaining culture. You put those three together, those are difficult to deal with. Or let me say it this way, those are challenging. To be able to hit all three of those very, very specific goals. You know, a lot of times, as I see a really robust company being put into place, and it's been around for a long time, there's an inherent need, desire, want, or commitment to community involvement and charitable giving. I've found over the years that a lot of successful businesses put those items into, for lack of a better term, the melting pot of all their goals is something specific that they want to cook up and bring to not only those in the business, but those in the community. And then finally, let's be honest, you'd like to have a real quality retirement. You'd like to be able to ride off into the sunset and really enjoy what you're doing, whatever that looks like. And that could be, frankly, another job, or it could be a part-time job. It could be golf. It's going to be different for everyone. You want to lay that out. So here's the good news. You have a lot of choices, and it's great. Okay? And you can make the choices. Let's be sure that those options that are put in front of you, that you are making conscious, intentional, very direct choices, okay? And that it is not someone else or circumstances beyond your control, as much as possible, that are making them for you. Does that make sense? Until we talk again, be safe. P.S. I created an outline for you that you can use so you can start setting your goals. And I'm going to give you that access to that, to a form that I ask you to fill out and really concentrate. Find a little place of your own, okay? Somewhere off to the side where no one's bothering you. A lot of times I like to go out to someplace I've never been before and sit down and be able to have just 10 minutes of thought process and then start into laying out your goals. Don't put yourself under so much pressure that it's got to be right. It's not right. Don't worry about it. What we're going to do is start the process, define the goals. This may take a couple of iterations. But always begin, as we say, the first step is the longest step, but also then becomes easier with each step that you take as you continue down this road of goal setting. So give yourself a little grace, start the process. If you unload your mind with this information, it'll start flowing. Maybe not all at once, but over time. Time for me would really be defined as something you could probably figure out in a day or two, or maybe a week, maybe even takes a month. Do not fret. Don't make it perfect. Put it down on a piece of paper so we can begin the goal and the journey.